everyone. This is Ben, and this is your Belmont Math and Science Center tutor tip. So today we're going to be talking about depreciation. In specific, we're going to be talking about straight line depreciation method. So this is probably the simplest and easiest and most widely used form of depreciation that we're going to be seeing throughout the semester on a lot of your practice problems. So this is a good area for us to lay a strong foundation and for us to know really, really well. So the first thing that we'll look at is our formula for our straight line depreciation. Our depreciation expense is equal to our cost minus our salvage value divided by our useful life. So what do these terms mean? Our cost is what we bought our piece of equipment or whatever we're depreciating for. So if we bought a piece of equipment for $10,000, that would be our cost. Our useful life is however long we think that we're going to be able to use our piece of equipment. So if we buy a piece of equipment and we think that it's going to last us and we're going to be able to use it for 5 years, that will be its useful life. And then our salvage value is what we think we'll be able to sell that piece of equipment for at the end of its useful life. So if we use a piece of equipment for 5 years and we're not going to use it anymore, but we can still sell it for a certain amount of money, let's say $1,000, that would be its salvage value. So this is our formula, and we'll do a quick practice problem so that we'll be able to better understand this formula and how to do a journal entry with depreciation. So the first thing, we'll look at this example problem here. We have company X bought a piece of equipment for $12,000. The useful life is 5 years, and the salvage value is $2,000. And then it asks us what is the journal entry for year 3. All right, so let's figure out our depreciation expense first. So using our formula, we have cost of $12,000. And we're going to subtract $2,000 from that because that was our salvage value. And then we're going to divide it by 5 because our useful life was 5 years. And when we put that into Excel, we are going to get a depreciation expense of $2,000. All right. So with straight line depreciation, our depreciation expense is not going to change from year to year. So year 1 is going to be the same as year 2, year 3, and so on and so forth. So when it's asking us for our journal entry for year 3, they really could be asking what our journal entry would be for year 1, year 2, year 4, year 5, whatever, because it's not going to change our dollar amount. It's going to be $2,000 the entire useful life of our piece of equipment. So how are we going to journal entry this? Do our journal entry. So the first thing that we do is we debit our depreciation expense. And then our credit, will be accumulated depreciation. There you go. And our dollar amount, we just figured that out. Our depreciation expense is $2,000. Put that there. And our accumulated depreciation for this entry will also be $2,000. So the important thing to remember here is our journal entry for every depreciation transaction is going to be like this. We will have a debit to depreciation expense, and we will have a credit to accumulated depreciation. So even if we're not using the straight line depreciation method, if we're using some other kind of method, we are still going to be doing our journal entry in this manner. So why don't we, so that was for year 3, but again, it could have been for any year since it is straight line depreciation. The straight line method or whatever method you use is what determines the dollar amount that we put here, not what we put as our account titles. Those will always be the same. So why don't we fill out this chart here? I think you'll probably see this on some of your problems that you'll have. And this is a good way of for us to understand why we have this formula the way we do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our book value at the beginning of the year. And since it's year one, we'll do our costs, our original cost, which is $12,000. Our depreciation expense is $2,000. We just figured that out, right? Our accumulated depreciation is going to be our total amount of depreciation that we've taken throughout the time. Since it's year one, we've only done $2,000. So we're just going to do $2,000 right there. And our book value is going to be, at the end of the year, is going to be our book value at the beginning of the year minus our depreciation expense throughout the year. So we're going to get $10,000. So our book value for the beginning of year two is going to be where we finished off at year one. So it'll be $10,000. Again, our depreciation expense is going to be $2,000. It's going to be that way for the entire useful life. And so our accumulated depreciation is just going to be the sum of, all our depreciation expenses. There we go, which is $4,000. And then again, figuring out our end book value will be our beginning minus our depreciation expense, which is $8,000. So we're going to keep doing this until we've finished our year 5. So again, we have $2,000 of depreciation expense. We're going to sum all the depreciation expenses we've had so far to get our accumulated depreciation, and we're going to subtract our depreciation expense from our beginning book value to get our end book value. So I will just run through the rest of this so that we can fill out our chart. So we will have $4,000, it looks like, at the end of year 4. At the beginning of year 5, we will have $4,000 as well. So we're going through this. We should have $10,000 of accumulated depreciation, which we do, and our book value at the end of year 5 is $2,000, which makes sense. Why does that make sense? So we have a salvage value of $2,000. So our book value at the end of our useful life should be equal to what our salvage value is. Why is that? Well, because we are trying to figure out, by putting our book value, this is how much we believe our equipment is worth. So we're saying that our equipment is decreasing in value by $2,000 every year. And at the end of its useful life, we say that it's worth $2,000 because we believe that we can salvage it or we can sell it for $2,000 once the useful life has decreased. And if you look at the rest of this chart, you can see the rest of it makes sense. We have accumulated depreciation of $10,000, which makes sense because we did depreciation expense of $2,000 for 5 years. 2,000 times 5 is $10,000. And then our book value at the beginning was $12,000. Now it is minus $10,000 would be $2,000. So again, this chart should make sense. If it doesn't, then maybe there is an issue. So I hope this has helped you guys. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your teachers or come into the Math and Science Center where we can help you guys out. Thank you for your attention.